The strict HOA neighborhood cafe looked clean, golden, and cold at the same time. Expensive lights reflected on glass tables. Rich customers spoke like their voice had value, and waiters walked fast with wide fake smiles because they were trained to smile only at people with money. The cafe's rules were simple. Rich people first, poor people never. Every worker knew this law only existed here because the HOA board wanted perfect beauty, perfect silence, and perfect control. In this world, anything broken, anything cheap, or anything simple was a mistake. A young mechanic named Raza walked slowly through the glass door. The moment he entered, the air changed. Waiters looked at his old shirt, the oil marks on his hands, and the cheap watch on his wrist. The manager standing near the counter raised one eyebrow because he was not used to seeing poor people inside. People turned their heads a little, not because they cared about Raza, but because they wanted to find something to gossip about later. Raza felt each step like he was walking on a stage with everyone watching. He took a slow breath, like he was collecting courage, and moved forward towards a reserved table he was told to sit at. His shoes were old. The sound of his steps was soft, almost shy, and his eyes looked around like he was searching for a safe place in a world full of sharp eyes. Across the room, 3 rich HOA boys sat together with expensive clothes, brand watches, and phones ready in their hands. They laughed softly, like they were enjoying a secret show. Their names did not matter here because they were not heroes, they were hunters. They had planned a blind date prank to record someone's humiliation. They knew Raza worked near the HOA gate at a small garage, fixing old cars for normal families. They saw him many times working until late night, while they drove luxury cars and laughed like the world belonged to them. When the idea of a prank came, they wanted a target who had no power, no status, and no place to fight back. They chose Raza because they believed a poor mechanic had no respect to lose. The table they reserved was decorated with fresh flowers, golden cutlery, and 2 expensive glasses that cost more than Raza's weekly income. Hidden near the table, a tiny camera was fixed behind a flower. Another camera was placed in the menu stand right in front of Raza's chair. A third camera was fixed inside the table decoration. The plan was simple. The girl arrives, she sees a poor man. She becomes loud, rejects him, and the room laughs while the cameras record everything for social media. The boys already imagined thousands of views and cruel comments. Their smiles showed confidence in cruelty. But the girl in the plan, the CEO's daughter, was not a part of the joke. Her name was Isla. She was young, powerful by family, but her personality did not match the rich world around her. She did not like fake people, she did not like the HOA game of showing power through money, and she believed every person had a story worth hearing. She thought the blind date was a real meeting arranged by her assistant because she had no time to meet anyone normally. She arrived in a simple dress, with no makeup, soft hands holding a small purse, and a quiet smile that made the room feel different for a second. People stared, not because she wanted attention, but because they recognized her face from pictures of expensive company events. The boys leaned forward from their corner, watching like they were controlling a movie. One of them whispered, "Watch this. She will explode when she sees him." They expected a scene like a drama. They expected a loud voice saying, "How dare you put me with a poor man?" They expected embarrassment, tears, maybe anger. They expected entertainment. Raza stood near the table, waiting for someone to confirm if this was the right place. A waiter pointed with a forced smile. "Yes, sir, table 13. The word "sir" didn't have respect inside it. It sounded like a rule the waiter was forced to follow. Raza nodded softly and sat. His hands trembled a little before he placed them on the table. He looked around, confused why a person like him was placed in this expensive space where 1 cup of coffee could buy all the food for his sister for 2 days. A few seconds later, Isla walked towards the table. Her walk was calm, soft, without ego. Raza looked up and froze a little when he saw her. Not because she was rich, but because she looked kind. Her eyes did not judge, her face did not show pride, and her smile was real. She sat slowly without asking who he was. The boys watched with hungry eyes. The manager watched like a hawk. The waiters watched like they were waiting for permission to laugh. For the first few seconds, Silence covered the table. It was uncomfortable but beautiful. They looked at each other without speaking because both were trying to understand what was happening. Raz's heart beat loud inside his chest. He was trying to find words, but fear stopped them. Isla was waiting for him to speak first. She could see he was nervous, so she spoke gently like she was trying to protect his feelings. "So, what do you do?" she asked, her voice soft, slow, like she wanted to listen to every detail. Raza looked down, swallowing his fear. He was ashamed to say his work, not because he thought it was bad, but because he knew how rich people reacted to poor jobs. He answered with a quiet voice, "I fix cars. Old cars." The boys leaned forward. They expected the fire now. They expected Isla's face to change into anger or shock. They expected her voice to break like glass. The room became quiet. Even the cups stopped making sound. But something different happened. Something that changed everything. Isla smiled. It wasn't a fake smile. It wasn't a polite smile. It was real, deep, warm. She looked into his eyes and said, "That's beautiful. Cars have stories. People trust you when they give you their car. You fix their memories." The entire cafe stopped breathing for 1 second. A silence like wind before a storm passed through the room. Waiters who were ready to laugh forgot how to smile. The manager's eyes widened. The boys' faces slowly changed from confidence to disbelief. Raza looked at her with surprise. He was waiting for insult but found respect. He felt something unusual in her words. Usually when he said he fixed cars, people replied, "Oh, so nothing better?" But she said the opposite. She found meaning inside his work. His heart became warm like someone just cleaned years of dust from his value. He asked slowly, You don't think it is small job?" Isla replied softly, "Small job? No. Car is a home on wheels. A mechanic is a doctor for someone's journey. My father's car broke last month, and he trusted the mechanic more than the driver." Raza felt something heavy inside his chest that he didn't know how to describe. It was pride, but fragile like glass because he never felt this way in a room full of rich people. The boys panicked. One of them whispered, "What is she doing?" Another whispered, "This is not the plan." She was supposed to insult him. They looked at their phone screens, confused why the video was not turning into a comedy scene. Their smiles suddenly died. A waiter walked near the table, expecting something loud. But nothing loud came. The moment turned into soft whispers, gentle looks, full of emotional truth. Isla continued, "Tell me about your work. Why old cars?" Raza looked at his hands. The oil was dry, almost part of his skin. He replied, "Old cars were my father's love. He was a driver. He believed every car had soul. When he died in accident, I kept his garage alive. People come to me with cars they love, so I fix their stories." Isla listened like she was listening to a poem. There was no judgment in her eyes. The world outside that table disappeared, like only two people exist. The cafe sound faded. The gossip faded. Even the boys' whispers faded. For those seconds, the whole place looked like it was frozen around two simple hearts talking without the noise of money. The cameras kept recording, but what they recorded now was not humiliation, it was magic. Poor man telling truth. A rich girl hearing truth. A world of fake people shocked witness to gentle respect. Raza looked at her again, slowly asking, "And you? What do you do?" Isla smiled shyly. "I manage company projects. My father runs a real estate company. We own many housing projects." Raza's eyes widened. He understood she was far bigger than him. Not just rich, but powerful. He whispered, "I think we come from different worlds." Isla replied, "Not different worlds. Same world. Just different stories." The boys stared at the couple like they were watching their own plan turn into a love story. Their hands shook. One said, "Delete the video." The other replied, "We can't. Everything is recording online storage." The third whispered, "Why is she smiling? Why is she not angry?" A waiter leaned near them, curious. "What is happening?" One boy replied, voice shaking, "She likes him." The waiter blinked. Impossible. She is CEO daughter. But the truth was right in front of them. Isla was not smiling at Raza because he was rich. She was smiling because his soul was clean. In a world where everyone tried to show power, he didn't try to show anything. He spoke truth without decoration. He had nothing to hide. People in cafe started whispering, "She is smiling at him. She likes the mechanic. Why is she talking like they are equal?" Their whispers were soft, but sharp like blades. But Isla did not hear them. She was lost in the moment. She asked, "Do you work alone?" Raza replied, "Yes. My sister brings me lunch sometimes. She wants to become engineer. I try to save money for her school." Isla's eyes softened. "You take care of your sister alone?" "Yes, since I was 19. She is everything I have." In that moment, Isla felt something in her heart. A man who lived alone, fought alone, worked alone, and cared for someone without asking anything back. This was worth more than money. She asked, "Are you happy fixing cars?" Raza looked outside the window. "Happiness is not clean like this cafe. It is messy like oil on hands. Some days I am tired, some days I feel proud. But every day I know I helped someone continue their road." Isla whispered, "That is real work." The boys looked at each other. Their prank had turned into a confession of life. The camera that was meant to capture shame had captured beauty. They had planned to break a man's respect, but they found him stronger than they imagined. The manager tried to interrupt by bringing the menu loudly, hoping to change the scene. But Isla looked at him with serious eyes. "Thank you. We will order later." The manager stepped back, embarrassed, because he expected her to treat Raza like dirt. Raza watched her protect him with just one look. He felt safe in a place where he was never safe before. Then Isla asked something simple but strong. "Why did you come today?" Raza answered honestly, "I thought someone wanted to meet me. I never get asked on dates. So, came." Isla whispered, "Me too." The boys' world cracked like glass. Their prank was gone. All that remained was a connection they never expected. The camera kept recording. Isla kept smiling, and Raza kept telling truth. The cafe full of rich ghosts suddenly found a real heart beating inside a man who fixed things broken by time. Isla's smile stayed soft like morning light, but something heavy moved in the air around them. Raza felt it in his chest, like a fear and a hope both trying to speak at the same time. The cafe was not normal anymore. People came here to show power, show fashion, show money, but now everyone was watching a conversation that had no price. The boys who planned the prank kept staring at their phones, pretending everything was fine, but their faces were pale. They whispered fast, but no whisper could stop what already started. Something had changed, and they were afraid of it. Raza sat quietly, trying to understand why a girl like Isla was talking to him like he mattered. For a moment he forgot about cameras, forgot about eyes, forgot about the prank. He only remembered her words, "Cars have stories." It repeated in his mind like a slow heartbeat. He never thought a rich girl could understand his world. His hands, his work, his pain. The cafe noise returned slowly, but one by one, voices died again when Isla leaned closer and asked, like she was opening his heart gently, "How long have you worked alone?" Raza looked at the table like his memory was sitting there. "Since I was 19. My father's garage was small. When he died, there was no one to help me. People came for a few days, said sorry, then disappeared. Only my sister stayed. She was young, scared, and I promised her that I will take care of her." His voice shook a little, like the promise was still heavy. "So I work every day. I fix cars, then go home, cook food, wash clothes, study her books with her. I don't know if I am doing everything right, but I try." Isla listened without blinking, her eyes a little wet. She wasn't crying, but the emotion sat just at the edge of her eyes. She had seen thousands of rich men talk about success, profits, deals, power, but those stories had no heart. In front of her sat a young man who had nothing, but everything he had was love. His words didn't feel like a speech. They felt like truth, and truth is heavier than gold. The boys stared at them, feeling trapped in their own plan. One boy whispered, angry and scared, "We need to stop this. People will think we are monsters." Another replied, "We are monsters. This is bad." The third boy bit his lip. "Why is she talking like this? She is CEO daughter. She should laugh at him." But Isla was not laughing. She was breaking every rule of their world without raising her voice. The waiter brought 2 glasses of water without being asked. His hands shook. He was a poor worker too. He understood what Raza was saying. He placed the glasses slowly and walked away without speaking, afraid his voice might break the moment. Isla took her glass slowly, like she had time for simple acts. "You must be tired," she said. Raza smiled with tired eyes. "Sometimes. But sometimes I feel strong. When my sister smiles after school, I feel like I can fight anything." Isla replied softly, "That is strength." He shook his head. "No. Strength is when someone like you tries to understand someone like me." She looked at him with surprise, like his words touched something inside her that she didn't know was open. She asked, "Why do you think I cannot understand you?" He breathed slowly. "Here. Rich people look at me like I am nothing. Even if I fix their car, they don't look at my face. They give keys without eye contact. They don't talk, they throw money like they are helping a beggar. They don't think a mechanic has dreams." Isla's expression became serious, like a quiet fire. "Do you have dreams?" "Yes," he said simply. "Simple dreams. My sister wants to become engineer. I want her to sit in office one day wearing clean clothes, not smelling like oil. I want her to look at the world like she belongs everywhere." His voice cracked a little. "I want her to be free from this judgment." Isla looked away for a moment because his words were like mirror. She remembered her own childhood. She had everything. Money, clothes, big house. But she was never free either. She was trapped inside rules of rich society. Fake friends, fake smiles, always watched because her father was powerful. She whispered like she was talking to herself, "Freedom is expensive for everyone." Raza didn't understand, but he felt the pain behind her words. He asked softly, "Are you free?" Alia froze. No one ever asked her that question. Rich people asked what car she had, what brand she wore, what deal she signed. No one asked about her freedom. She looked at the table, her voice slow. "No, I am not free. I cannot walk alone in market without security. I cannot choose friends without thinking about business. I cannot even sit here without people watching like I am doing drama." She took a breath. "But with you, I feel normal for some minutes." Raza looked surprised. A rich girl found peace with him? His hands tightened around the glass. He whispered, "I don't know what to say." She smiled gently. "You already said enough." Around them, the cafe felt like a box where 2 different worlds were touching each other without permission from society. Then something happened that changed the air again. A phone vibrated. Loud. One of the boys got a message. His face went pale like ice. He looked at his friends, almost shaking. "It's from her father." The other whispered, terrified. "What?" The first boy whispered, "Her father is watching the camera feed." The words hit like a stone thrown in still water. Everything inside the prank turned dangerous. This was not a joke anymore. This was real power watching them. The CEO of the company, the man who owned most of the land in this HOA, the man who could destroy anyone with one phone call, was watching this blind date live. A security guard entered the cafe. Everyone moved aside like ocean opening for a ship. He walked straight to Isla and leaned close, whispering something only she could hear. But whisper had weight. Her eyes widened for a second. Then she stood quietly like she was preparing for something heavy. Raza felt her energy change. He didn't know why, but he knew something big was happening. He looked around, confused. Alia looked at him, trying to hide her worry behind a soft smile. "Can we talk outside for a moment?" Raza nodded, still not understanding. He stood up slowly, careful like he was protecting a fragile moment. Isla walked beside him towards the exit of the cafe. People watched them leave like they were walking into a storm. Behind them, the boys sat frozen. One whispered, "We are dead. This prank will finish us." The hallway outside the cafe was empty and quiet like a different world. The sound of doors closing behind them felt like the end of one chapter and the start of something dangerous. Outside, in the fresh air, Isla turned to him. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed fear she tried to hide. Raza, my father knows about this meeting. He saw you. He saw everything. Raza blinked, not understanding the danger. Why is that bad? She laughed once, but it was not happy laughter. It was fear trying to escape. Because he is not like me. He believes rich and poor cannot mix. He believes everything must be controlled. He will think you are trying to use me. Raza felt the ground shake under his thoughts. He was someone who never lied, never cheated, never asked for anything from anyone rich. Now, suddenly, a powerful man would think he was trying to climb a mountain by using his daughter. His hands felt cold. His voice soft. But I didn't know who you are. Isla nodded. I know your truth. But he will not believe so easily. They stood in silence, both understanding the situation was much bigger than a date. This was a war between truth and power. A car stopped at the end of the path. Black, shining, slow like a threat. The door opened. A man stepped out. Tall, strong shoulders, expensive suit, eyes that looked like they could see everything wrong in a person before seeing anything right. Isla whispered, "My father." Raza swallowed. His world was simple. Fix cars, protect sister. But now he was facing a storm he never imagined. They stood like two small hearts against a giant shadow of the HOA world. The CEO walked towards them. Every step sounded like judgment. Every movement carried power. People in nearby lobby moved aside like the wind pushed them. Isla stood straight, brave like fire covered in silk. Raza stood quiet, humble, ready to take blame for something he never did. The CEO's eyes were hard as stone. He stopped 2 steps away. He looked at Raza like he was dirt on luxury floor. His voice was deep. "You are here to use my daughter to escape poverty?" The question cut like knife. Raza tried to speak, but his throat felt locked. Isla stepped forward, her voice sharp. "Father, stop. He did nothing wrong." He ignored her. His eyes stayed on Raza. "Answer me," and the world held its breath. The prank meant to break a poor mechanic turned into a moment where a father, a daughter, and a man with oil on his hands stood in one line between love, pride, power, and truth. Raza stood in front of the CEO like a worker standing in front of a mountain. His fingers touched each other slowly, shaking, not because he was scared of power, but because he was scared of misunderstanding. He lived his whole life protecting his respect, and now one wrong word could destroy everything he worked for. His eyes lifted and met the CEO's eyes for a moment. It felt like a storm and silence met at the same time. One man had everything: land, cars, companies. The other had only his hands, oil on his skin, and a heart full of truth. "I did not come here to use anyone," Raza said, but his voice came out low, like it was walking with fear. The CEO stepped closer. His expression did not change. "Then why are you sitting with my daughter in a luxury cafe? Why did you accept this blind date? What is your goal?" Raza swallowed, trying to gather strength. "I thought someone wanted to meet me. I don't get dates. I don't get invites. I felt happy someone wanted to talk. That is all." Isla moved in front of Raza like a shield made of soft fire. Her face was tight with emotion. "Father, stop talking to him like he is a criminal. He didn't know who I am. He came because he believed this was real." The CEO's voice was cold like winter stone. "Exactly. He believed he could sit with you. That is the problem." Isla looked at her father with disbelief. "The problem is your thinking, not his hope." The CEO's eyes turned sharper. "People know their place. A mechanic belongs in a garage, not at a table with my daughter." Raza's heart broke a little, because the words hit a wound he never showed anyone. A wound that said poor people cannot dream near rich people. He looked down, but before the pain could win, Isla's voice cut the air. "No, a mechanic belongs wherever his heart takes him," she said. She was not shouting, but every word had the power of someone breaking rules. The CEO stared at her like he didn't recognize his own child. "You are defending someone you met 1 hour ago?" Isla whispered. "I am defending respect." The silence after her words felt heavy, like the ground itself paused. The hallway lights reflected on the floor, making their shadows long, like their past and future were stretching in front of them. The CEO turned to Raza again. "What do you want with my daughter?" His question was direct, dangerous, like a trap. Raza looked at Isla for a second, searching for honesty inside himself. He didn't want to lie, not even to save himself. His voice came out slow but clear. "I want nothing from her. I came here with empty hands. I leave with empty hands. But in this 1 hour, she talked to me like I am a person. Not a worker, not a poor man, just a person. That is all I wanted." His voice was not fighting. It was truth speaking without anger. And truth sometimes sounds louder than shouting. Isla closed her eyes for a moment because his words hit her heart like soft lightning. She had met hundreds of men who wanted something: status, money, business deals, but Raza was the first who wanted only respect. The CEO stared at Raza, trying to find lies, but his face showed nothing except tired honesty. And honesty is hard to fight. "You think respect is enough to sit with my daughter?" Raza breathed deeply, his voice shaking slightly. "No. Respect is not a ticket. It is a reason why people deserve a chance. I don't deserve her because I am poor, but I deserve to be spoken to without shame." The CEO didn't answer. Something in his eyes moved, like a memory passed through him, but his face stayed hard. Behind them, footsteps echoed. The three rich boys appeared in the hallway, walking slowly because they had no courage to run away. Their faces were pale, eyes red from fear. They saw the CEO and their confidence died completely. One boy tried to hide behind another, but the CEO looked directly at them with sharp eyes. "You arranged this meeting," he said. It was not a question. The boys froze. One whispered, "Sir." It was just... The CEO's voice cut him like a blade. "A joke? Humiliation. Recording a poor man for entertainment." The boys shook, silence crushing their words. He continued, "You used my daughter for a prank? You used a man's dignity as a game." Isla turned toward the boys. Her eyes were cold now, not gentle. "Say everything you said inside the cafe. Say it now." The boys looked down. Their bodies folded. Their pride disappeared. One boy spoke like broken glass. "We thought it would be funny to see a poor mechanic with a rich girl. People would laugh. It was a trend online." Another added, "We didn't think he would talk like he matters." The third whispered, "We didn't expect you to like him." Isla felt something explode inside her. "Like him? I don't like him because he is poor. I like him because he is real. Something you don't know how to be." The boy's eyes filled with shame. The CEO lifted his hand. A security guard stepped forward. "Give me the cafe recordings." The guard nodded, already prepared. Within seconds, a tablet was in the CEO's hand, showing video of the entire prank. Whispering, laughing, planning, cameras, and Raza sitting with nervous hands. The recording showed everything like a mirror with no lies. The CEO watched without blinking. His jaw tightened. When the video reached the moment Isla called Raza's work beautiful, something changed in the CEO's eyes. The entire cruel plan bent under the weight of reality. He turned off the video. The hallway felt like it was locked in a glass box of silence. He looked at Raza again. His voice was low, like a decision had been made. "You have something many rich people don't. Pride without money. That is rare." Raza looked at the floor, confused. The CEO continued, "But love is not poetry. It is responsibility. If you ever become something to my daughter, you must be ready to carry weight heavier than cars." The word love made Raza freeze. He had not even allowed himself to think that far. His cheeks burned with shock. Isla's heart skipped like it lost its path for 1 second. She whispered, "Father?" The CEO cut her. "Do you like him?" The question hit Isla like a wave. It was not soft. It was direct like a spotlight. Her eyes slowly went to Raza. Her voice trembled, but the words came like they were pulled out of her heart. Yes, I like him, not because he is poor, but because he is strong without showing off. Because he cares without asking for anything. Because he speaks truth even when it hurts. The boys stared with wide eyes. The hallway staff breathed like they saw something impossible. Raza felt heat behind his eyes. No one in his life ever said something like this about him. His heart wanted to break open and cry all his years of loneliness. But he stayed still, because emotions inside pain must walk slow. The CEO watched both of them, like he was measuring invisible weight between two hearts. His voice was slow, heavy, final. If you choose him, you walk away from this world's safety. People will judge you. They will say you are crazy. They will say a CEO's daughter fell for a poor mechanic for pity. They will break your name. Are you ready for that? Isla's voice did not shake now. Yes, because pity is when rich people help poor people to feel powerful. But I am not helping him. I am respecting him. The CEO exhaled hard, like he was releasing a lifetime of rules. He looked at Raza again. His eyes were not stone anymore, but they were not soft either. They were eyes of a man who lost battles and won wars. He spoke slowly. Respect my daughter as much as you respect your sister. If you break her heart, I will break your world. If you protect her, I will protect you. The words hit like thunder and shelter at the same time. Threat and blessing in one breath. Raza nodded, not out of fear, but out of promise. I will protect her. If she wants me in her life, I will stand with her. I don't know how to fight your world, but I know how to stand when everything tries to break me. Isla looked at him with soft shock. She could feel the truth shaking inside his voice. The CEO watched their eyes, their breath, their silence. Then he turned away. His voice floated behind him like the end of a storm. Prove it. He walked towards the cafe again, leaving them standing with a new world in front of them. People moved aside like water moving around a ship, watching him pass with respect and fear. Isla and Raza stood alone, the silence between them now heavy with meaning. No words, no jokes, just the weight of what had begun. Raza finally spoke, his voice soft, like a broken string repairing itself. Why did you say you like me? Isla smiled, her eyes still bright with the fight she just fought. Because it is true. I like you. Not your status, not your clothes, not your money. I like your story. And your story is brave. Raza looked at her with a heart full of disbelief and hope mixed like colors in rainwater. He whispered, I don't know what happens next. Isla replied softly, that is why it is beautiful. Behind them, the cafe door opened slightly. The boys stepped out slowly, defeated, faces pale. They walked past silently, like ghosts of a mistake. Raza watched them go, not with anger, but with strange sadness. They tried to break his dignity, and instead they broke their own masks. Isla took a deep breath. The world is going to talk now. Raza nodded, looking at his hands. Let them talk. We know the truth. Their eyes stayed locked. Two lives from different roads now standing in one path. That path was heavy, dangerous, and bright. The cafe doors closed behind the CEO like a heavy wall shutting, trapping all the noise and opinions inside. Outside, Raza and Isla stood together, breathing in the quiet air like they were learning how to exist after a small war. They didn't touch hands, they didn't hug, they didn't speak big words. They just stood in silence because silence sometimes holds more truth than speeches. Raza tried to understand what just happened. How one blind date turned into a fight between a daughter's heart and the weight of her father's pride. His mind was full, but his voice stayed quiet because he was afraid the moment might break if he talked too fast. Alia looked at him slowly, her voice soft like a bandage over a deep cut. You okay? Raza nodded, but his eyes told a different story. Yes, I think so, but this is big. Alia smiled a little, without joy, like she was smiling to keep him calm. Everything real is big. He breathed out. What now? She looked up at the sky like she was asking the clouds for answers. Now we walk, and the world watches. They walked together through the HOA path. Expensive houses on both sides, glass windows reflecting their faces like mirrors judging their steps. People inside houses saw them through small openings between curtains. Some faces looked curious, some looked shocked, some looked angry like a rule had been broken. Every window was an eye. Every house was a mouth ready to spread noise. The sound of whispers traveled faster than steps. Near the fountain in the center of the neighborhood, a group of residents stood together. Old man wearing gold watch, woman with expensive scarf, two teenagers with phones. When Isla and Raza passed them, the group fell silent like their voices were knives they didn't want to drop yet. As soon as they walked a few steps away, the knives fell. Did you see that? The mechanic. With the CEO's daughter. How shameful. No class. He wants money. What else? He will trap her. Poor people are dangerous when they get a chance. The words hit Raza like punches he couldn't block. He had heard insults before, but this time they were talking about her too. And that hurt more. He looked straight ahead, trying not to react, because reacting would make him look guilty. Isla heard every whisper. Her jaw tightened. Her steps slowed a little. But she kept her head high like someone walking through fire without bending. Raza wanted to protect her from the noise, but he didn't know how. He whispered, "I can walk alone from here." She turned to him with eyes full of stubborn love. "And give them what they want?" "No." He felt something warm move in his chest. Her courage was soft but sharp. "They don't matter," she said quietly. Raza replied, "They matter to your father." She stopped walking. "My father matters. But his fear is not my fear." For a second they looked at each other in the middle of the path, surrounded by expensive houses and cheap hearts. The sun was warm but the world felt cold. Raza understood one thing clearly. Isla was not fighting for romance. She was fighting for dignity. And dignity is a war without winners, only survivors. They reached the small gate near the main road where Raza usually walked to his garage. He slowed down like his heart didn't want to leave yet. She slowed too. For a moment, the world felt small around them, like only two lives were standing and everything else was just background noise. Raza whispered, "Thank you. For today." Isla answered softly, "No, thank you. For showing me something real." They stood for one extra second, a second that felt like a promise without words. Then Raza walked away slowly, his steps heavy but hopeful, while Isla watched him go, her eyes full of fear for him and strength for herself. When he finally disappeared into the street, she turned back to the HOA road like a soldier walking into a battlefield she didn't choose. Raza reached his garage, a small building covered in dust, paint peeling on the walls, a sign hanging crooked that said, "Raza Car Repair." The inside smelled like oil, rubber, and memories. He sat on the small stool near the workbench. His hands were still shaking. He looked at his palms, the same hands that fixed broken engines, now trembling because of spoken words, not metal. He closed his eyes and felt everything again. The insult, the accusation, the defense, the way Isla said, "I like him." That sentence felt like a light in a room he didn't know was dark. He wiped his face with both hands. He wasn't used to people fighting for him. Every fight in his life was alone. Now someone stood beside him without asking for anything. That thought made tears burn behind his eyes, but he held them because he didn't want to cry in an empty room. He heard footsteps outside. His sister ran into the garage wearing school bag, eyes wide and worried. "Bye. I saw everything online." Raza froze. "Online?" She nodded fast, showing her phone screen. The video from the cafe was already spreading through social media. The title was painful. "Poor Mechanic Targets CEO Daughter, Blind Date Scam." Thousands of views in minutes. Comments like poison. "He just wants money. Gold digger mechanic. She is innocent. He trapped her. Disgusting." Raza felt his breath stop. All his truth, all his pain, all his honesty, turned into a joke in the hands of people who didn't know anything. He took the phone slowly, reading comment after comment, each one breaking something inside him that he spent years building. His sister looked up at him, tears shining in her eyes. You didn't do this, Bai. They are lying. He put his hand on her head gently. I know. And you know, that is enough today. But it wasn't enough. He knew tomorrow the world would not stop. Worlds built on gossip don't like truth. Truth is slow. Lies run fast like fire in dry grass. At the same time, Isla entered her house. A huge white building with long pillars and clean glass reflecting the sky like it owned the clouds. She walked inside, her heels echoing through the silent hallway. The staff paused when they saw her, eyes wide like they saw breaking news walking on two legs. She ignored all stares and went straight to her room, closing the door softly, like she didn't want the world to hear her pain. She sat on the bed, opened her phone and saw the same video, the same lies, the same comments, but something different happened in her. Instead of crying, she got angry. Angry not at Raza, not at her father, but at a world that punishes honest people and protects cruel ones. She looked at her reflection in the mirror and whispered to herself, if I don't stand now, he will break alone. And he stood alone for too long. Her phone rang. Her father's name flashed. She closed her eyes, breathing slow, then answered. His voice was heavy, calm like a man who is used to storms. Isla, come to my office. She knew this would be another fight, but she walked toward the office with steady steps. Her heels hitting the floor sounded like drums in a war she didn't start, but she was willing to finish. Inside the office, the CEO sat behind a large wooden desk, hands folded. His face was unreadable. He looked at her like he was not angry, but disappointed. His first words were like a test. Are you ready for the consequences of your choice? Isla stood straight. Yes. He leaned back. The world does not forgive people like you. They want to see rich people behave rich. She replied, voice firm. Then the world should learn to forgive differently. I am not money. I am a person. He studied her face, searching for fear. When he did not find any, he nodded slowly, like he respected her honesty. You know what people are saying online? She nodded. People say things about everyone. They don't know the truth. They don't want the truth. Truth is boring for them. Lies are fun. He tapped his finger on the desk slowly. This is not about truth or lies. This is about power. When powerful people fall in love with powerless people, the world becomes cruel. They think love is weakness. Isla whispered, then let it be weakness. But I want to choose my weakness myself. The CEO closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his voice was low. I will handle the situation, but you have to understand. If you walk with him, you walk against everything around you. Isla replied, I know. He asked, why him? She smiled softly, eyes full of memory. Because when he talks like the world can be kind. And I want that world more than this one. Her father looked at her for a long time, then nodded once. Then tomorrow we start with truth. Far from that rich house, Raza sat with his sister, both staring at the cruel comments. He whispered, this will hurt you too. His sister hugged him tight, tears falling. You protected me all my life. Now I protect you. The night came like a blanket of fear over both houses. In one house, a poor mechanic held his sister close, praying for strength. In another house, a rich daughter prepared for a war against society itself. Two different roofs, one same storm. Morning did not come soft. It came like a sharp light breaking into two different worlds. At 6:32 a.m., Raza opened the garage shutter with slow hands. The metal door made a scraping sound, like the day was already tired. He had not slept. His eyes were red, heavy, and full of questions that had no answers. He stood in the middle of the small garage, the smell of oil familiar, but today the air smelled like fear. His phone kept vibrating, but he didn't check it. Every vibration felt like a stone thrown at his chest. His sister, Sana, sat on the old wooden chair with her school bag on her lap. She looked at her brother with love and worry mixed like water and salt. Bai, don't go online today. Raza smiled weakly, putting a hand on her head. I have to. The world outside is too loud. If I hide, They win. Sanaa's voice shook. But you don't need to fight everyone. Raza replied softly. Some fights choose us, not the other way. Before he could turn on the lights, 3 men walked into the garage wearing HOA security badges. Not guards, but men who felt powerful because they had a logo on their chest. The leader spoke with cold tone. You must close your garage today. Raza frowned, confused. Why? I pay rent on time. I have permission to work here. The guard handed a paper with a red stamp. HOA board decided your business creates disturbance. Too much noise. This community expects peace. Raza looked around the silent garage. No noise, no cars, nothing. What disturbance? Another guard smirked. Your presence. Raza's heart dropped. This was not about noise. This was punishment. A gentle pain crawled in his chest like a flame burning quietly. Sanaa stood up fast, her small hands shaking. You can't do this. He works hard. The guard ignored her. You have until evening. After that, shut down. They walked out, leaving the paper like a knife on the table. Raza stared at it, the red stamp looking like blood. The words blurred in his eyes. He sat down slowly, breathing hard. His sister hugged him, crying silently. Raza held her close, whispering into her hair. Don't cry. It is just a paper. Not the end. But deep in his heart, he knew this was the beginning of attacks. Not cars. Attacks on dignity. While Raza's world was shrinking, Isla's world exploded. She woke to a phone full of messages, all from different numbers, different voices, but all saying the same thing: control your daughter. The HOA board president called first. His voice sounded like polished iron. Isla, we need a meeting today. This matter is damaging the image of the community. A CEO's daughter sitting with a mechanic? Public humiliation. Isla replied sharply. Humiliation is when rich people think they own everything. He continued, ignoring her anger. Reporters called. Residents are angry. Investors are asking questions. You need to speak. Isla stood from bed like a storm rising. I will speak. The president added, not what you want, what we need. You must say this was a misunderstanding. You did not know he was poor. You walked out. That is all. Isla froze. Her voice turned to ice. You want me to lie? He said calmly, like lies were normal currency. Truth is not what happened. Truth is what protects the image of this community. Isla hung up without another word. She walked out of her room wearing simple clothes, hair tied, face without makeup, like someone ready to fight without armor. She entered her father's office again. He was already there, looking at news headlines on a large screen. CEO daughter falls for street mechanic, huge class scandal, gold digger mechanic targets billionaire family. Isla's jaw tightened. She walked closer. This is war. Her father looked at her calmly. War can be two ways. Silence or explosion. Which one do you choose? Isla whispered. Truth is explosion. Her father nodded slowly. Then prepare to burn. He opened a file, showing another headline that made Isla feel like someone punched her stomach. HOA board decides to shut down mechanic shop. Isla stepped back, breath shaking. They are destroying his life. Her father replied. They are destroying their fear. They fear what he represents. A poor man standing equal with a rich woman. This is dangerous. She whispered. I need to go to him. Her father didn't stop her. For the first time, he looked more human than powerful. Go. But when you stand beside him, you stand against everyone you know. Isla walked out of the house. Outside the gate, reporters were lined up like hungry birds. Microphones shouting, is it love or pity? Are you using the mechanic to look kind? Did he trap you? Do you plan to marry a poor man? Questions cut her like sharp wind. She raised her hand, asking for silence. Her voice came strong. No one trapped anyone. I sat with a man who has more heart than this community. And that is not pity. That is respect. Reporters gasped. Cameras flashed like lightning. She walked through them like a wave breaking stone. At the garage, Raza sat on the floor with his sister, fixing a small watch someone had left days ago. His hands worked slowly, like repairing something tiny made his mind calm. Sanaa kept looking at the HOA paper, like she was trying to read a future she feared. A shadow fell over the doorway. Raza looked up. Isla stood there, breathing fast from walking, eyes soft on him. Sanaa ran forward, hugging Isla suddenly, like she found hope in human shape. Isla hugged her back tight. Then she looked at Raza. He stood slowly, hands covered in tiny metal parts. Before he could speak, Isla stepped closer and held his trembling fingers gently. "They closed your garage," she said, voice shaking with anger and hurt. Raza nodded once. "They can close doors. They cannot close my hands." Isla's eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. "This is because of me." Raza shook his head. "This is because of their fear. They fear simple people with dignity. They fear truth that does not bow." Isla looked around the small garage. The tools, the old posters, the cracked wall, the dream breathing inside steel and grease. She saw a world built from nothing by hands full of scars. She felt a pain she never felt before, the pain of watching someone good get punished for being honest. She whispered, "I will fix this." Raza asked softly, "How?" That question felt heavy, but Isla answered without thinking, with a kind of wild strength. "By standing with you, not behind you, with you." Her words felt like a promise bigger than the room. Outside, again footsteps, loud, fast. The HOA president arrived with 2 board members, wearing expensive clothes, faces cold. They entered the garage like they owned the air. Without greeting, the president spoke, "Miss Isla, you must come with us. There is a public statement ready. We will announce that this was a misunderstanding. The mechanic misunderstood your kindness. You never loved him. This ends today." Isla turned slowly, her eyes burning. She stepped between Raza and the board members, like a wall made of soft fire. Her voice was quiet, but it cut deeper than shouting. "No, the misunderstanding is your mind. You think poor means unworthy. You think love is business. You think dignity belongs to money." The president stiffened. "We represent the community. You represent chaos." Isla replied, "Then your community is weak, because one honest man shakes your entire world." One board woman spoke angrily, "Miss Isla, you are embarrassing your family." Isla looked at her with cold sadness. "No, your words are embarrassing humanity." Raza watched this like he was watching something impossible. A rich woman fighting her own world for a mechanic from the street. His heart felt heavy, like it was too small to hold the gratitude he felt. The president tried again. "He will destroy your image." Isla answered, "Then my image deserves to be destroyed." Silence fell in the garage. Sanaa held Raza's hand tight. The board members didn't expect resistance this hard, this clean. They looked shaken. Their language of power failed in a room full of truth. The president's voice softened into threat. "If you stand with him, you lose everything." Isla replied, "If I leave him, I lose myself." The words hung in the air like a signal that the war had reached its center. Raza stepped forward now, his voice deep, slow, controlled like he was speaking from years of quiet pain. "I don't want her to lose anything for me. I don't want her to fight because of me. But I will not apologize for who I am. I fix cars. I fix broken things. But I cannot fix hearts that enjoy breaking others." The board members looked stunned. His words had weight of life. The president took a breath. "Last chance. Choose status or this mechanic." Isla looked at Raza, then looked at them. Her voice came like a decision that could not be changed. "I choose him." The world stopped. Sanaa gasped. Raza's breath broke in his chest. The board members stared like they heard a crime. The president whispered, "Then you are no longer part of this community in decision matters." Isla smiled sadly. "Then your decisions have no value for me." The board members walked out, leaving behind threat and silence. The garage door shook when they slammed it. Isla turned slowly towards Raza. He didn't know what to say. His eyes filled with tears he could not hide. He whispered, voice broken, You just gave up everything for someone like me. Isla stepped closer, her eyes soft like sunlight touching rain. No, I gave up everything for someone who is worth more than everything I had. Raza covered his face with both hands, tears escaping through his fingers. Sanaa hugged him from the side. Isla held his hands gently. They stood like three hearts holding one truth. Love is never between equal worlds. Love is the bridge between worlds that were never meant to meet. But outside that small garage, the storm was only growing. HOA board angry, residents talking, news spreading, social media exploding, and powerful people preparing to crush what they did not understand. The day that started with sunlight was now turning into fire. And tomorrow, the fight would become bigger. The garage felt too small for the storm outside. The wind blew dust through the open shutter, like the world was trying to enter the room without invitation. Raza stood near the workbench, wiping his face again and again, but tears kept returning like waves hitting the same shore. His sister sat beside him holding his arm like she was protecting something precious from being taken away. Isla stood in front of him, hands still holding his trembling fingers, her breath slow but deep, like she was forcing herself to stay strong for both of them. Outside the garage, cars slowed down. People who never cared about the small garage suddenly cared a lot because now this place was not just a mechanic shop. It was a battlefield between money and dignity. Phones lifted. Cameras recorded. Raza could hear murmurs floating in from the street, sharp like pointed stones. Look, she is here now. She really chose him? This is madness. He is destroying her life. Every word pierced something inside him. Raza closed his eyes. His voice came out low, like it was hiding pain. They don't know anything, but they speak like they know everything. Isla squeezed his hand tighter. That is the world. They don't care about truth. They care about noise. Raza opened his eyes slowly. His face was calm now, but his eyes were full of sadness. Noise can kill dreams faster than lies. At that moment, another car stopped in front of the garage. Bigger, black, windows dark. Raza felt his heart freeze for a second. Sanaa held his hand tight. Isla turned her head toward the door. The air smelled different now, like power approaching. The door opened. The CEO stepped inside the garage with two security men behind him. His suit still looked perfect, but his eyes looked different today. Tired, worried, angry, and protective all mixed together like shadows on water. He walked in slowly, looking at everything in the garage. The tools, the old posters, the cracked wall, the simple life built with hands that never stopped working. He looked at Raza, but this time the look was different. Not like looking at dirt. Not like looking at a mistake. It was a look between a man who built empires and a man who built dreams from nothing. He spoke without shouting, but his voice filled the room. You have caused a storm in this community. Raza stood straight, even with shaking legs. I did not want a storm. I only wanted a conversation. The CEO's eyes hardened. But you got something more. Isla moved forward before anyone else could speak. He didn't cause the storm. The people who laugh at poor people caused the storm. The ones who thought dignity is funny. The ones who want to control every heart in this neighborhood. Her father looked at her, eyes heavy like he was carrying two wars. One with the community, one with his daughter's courage. Isla, you are becoming the target. Every investor is calling. Every resident wants answers. They want you to break this before it becomes big. Isla's voice grew sharper, but her eyes softened when she looked at Raza. But this is already big, because truth is standing here, and lies are spreading outside. The CEO turned to Raza again. Do you love my daughter? The question came like fire thrown into a quiet room. Raza felt his breath stop. His heart had feelings he didn't know how to speak. His voice broke a little. I don't know what love is in your world, but in mine, love means standing beside someone even when the world is against you. If that is love, then maybe yes. I don't know when it happened, but something happened. Isla closed her eyes for a moment, tears forming quietly. She opened them again, looking at her father with a kind of strength he had never seen in her before. I love him. The words hit the air like thunder. It was not a whisper. It was a declaration. The CEO's face changed for 1 second, just 1 second, like he was shocked by her honesty. Then his expression turned into something hard again, like a man preparing to protect his daughter from the entire world. He stepped closer to Raza, his voice heavy. If you stay with her, your life will be broken. They will remove your shop. They will insult your name. They will destroy your chances. You will be called a gold digger, a fraud, a liar. Can you carry that weight? Raza looked at his sister, at his tools, at his hands, at Isla. His voice came slow. I have carried weight my whole life. I carried my father's death. I carried my sister's dreams. I carried insult every day when rich people gave me money without looking at my face. If this weight is love, I can carry it too. Alia tried to hold her tears, but one drop escaped. Her father saw it. That single drop broke something inside him. He turned away for a moment, like he was fighting with his own thoughts. His voice came out softer than before, like truth was slowly entering his heart. The HOA board shut down your garage. By evening, they will send police. They will take your tools. They will lock your shop. And the community will clap. Raza's body shook. Sanaa covered her mouth. Isla gasped like someone stabbed her. Raza whispered, "They will take everything I have?" The CEO replied heavy, "Yes, they want you to disappear." Isla walked backward, shaking her head. No, this cannot happen. You can stop them. You own this land. You own the company." Her father looked at her with eyes full of truth and tiredness. "I own the company, not the minds of people. I can stop boards, not hearts." Isla felt the floor spinning. She grabbed the workbench for support. Her voice came out like broken glass scraping inside her throat. "So you will let them destroy him?" He closed his eyes. "If I protect him, they will destroy you instead." That sentence changed everything. Silence fell like the world stopped breathing. Raza whispered, "No." Isla whispered back, "Yes, they will attack me next." Her father nodded, looking at Raza. "You think you are fighting for love, but love will cost her more than it will cost you." Raza felt a pain he never felt before. Not for himself, for her future, for her dreams. He looked at her hands, soft, clean, full of love. His hands were rough, cracked, full of scars. He realized something heavy. He could fight his own battles, but he could not let her lose everything for him. Love is not only standing together. Sometimes love is stepping away to protect someone's wings. His voice came soft, broken, dying inside. "Isla, if you stay with me, they will destroy your life." Isla shook her head fast, tears falling now. "Let them. I don't need them. I only need—" Raza cut her words with pain. "No, you need your world, your dreams, your father, your respect. You are not made for small rooms like this. I don't want your life to become small because of me." Isla grabbed his shirt with both hands, crying like a child who refuses to lose the only thing that feels real. "You are my world now. Don't leave me because of fear." Raza held her face in his hands, his tears mixing with hers. His voice cracked open like a wound. "I am leaving because of love, not fear." Her body collapsed into his chest, shaking with silent screams. Sanaa stood there crying too, her small hands covering her mouth. The CEO watched this scene with eyes full of pain he could not show. He saw a poor man sacrificing love to save his daughter. He saw a daughter breaking because of a choice she did not deserve. Raza took a deep breath like someone breathing for the last time. He whispered into Isla's hair, voice shaking, "Sometimes love means walking away so the other person can fly." Isla lifted her head, eyes red, voice breaking. "I don't want wings without you." But Raza stepped back slowly, removing her hands from his shirt, like tearing his own heart piece by piece. He looked at her father. The CEO understood without words. Raza spoke to Isla again, each word heavy. "Live your life. Become everything you dream. And if one day the world is kinder, you will find me." Isla's knees went weak. Her father held her before she fell. Raza turned away. Not because he wanted to, but because he had to. He walked toward the small shutter, each step burning his feet. Sana ran behind him, crying, "Bye! Don't leave her." Raza whispered, "I am not leaving her. I am saving her." He lifted the shutter. Sunlight hit his eyes, but it felt like darkness. He walked out into the street. People watched like it was a show. For them, it was entertainment. For him, it was the death of a dream he didn't know he had. Inside the garage, Isla screamed his name, but sound could not stop him now. He kept walking, until his name disappeared behind traffic and noise. Isla fell to the floor, holding her father's coat, crying like her heart was breaking open. Her father didn't speak. He just held her, because even powerful men have no words when the world kills their child's happiness. Outside, Raza walked with heavy steps. The sun looked bright, but inside him, everything was dark. Raza walked into the busy road like a ghost wearing a human body. People moved around him. Cars honked. The world continued like nothing happened. But inside him, everything had changed. His steps were slow, heavy, like he was dragging all the pain from the garage with his feet. His hands shook every few seconds, remembering the way Isla held him, the way she cried his name. He swallowed hard, trying not to let tears fall in public, but his eyes were already red. He walked until the neighborhood faded, until big houses became small shops, until the road became dusty, until rich voices became normal voices. He reached a silent corner near the city bus stop. He sat on a bench alone, with the whole world spinning inside his head. He closed his eyes and breathed out slowly, like he was letting go of something beautiful through the same breath that carried years of pain. In that one moment, he forced himself to believe a lie, that leaving Isla was the right thing. Not because he didn't love her, but because he loved her too much to let her world break because of him. And love sometimes lives in sacrifice more than in holding hands. Back in the garage, Isla lay on her father's shoulder, crying without sound now, like tears had taken all her voice away. Her fingers clutched his coat, and her whole body shook. Her heart was breaking in a quiet room full of tools that once fixed broken things, but nothing in this room could fix a broken goodbye. Her father held her tight, eyes closed like he was feeling every pain she felt. For years he protected her from everything, business wars, fake friends, jealous rivals, but today he could not protect her from love. And that was the first time in his life he felt truly powerless. After many minutes, maybe hours, Isla slowly lifted her head. Tears covered her face. Her eyes looked empty but deep, like someone who just watched their world collapse. She whispered with a shaky voice, "Why does love hurt the people who deserve it the most?" Her father didn't answer immediately. He breathed slow, searching for truth instead of comfort. Finally, he spoke, "Because love tests courage. It does not give it." Isla looked at him, confused and broken. She whispered, "Then I failed." He shook his head. "No, he passed." Those words hit her like lightning through the darkness. Her breath caught. She stared at her father with eyes wide. "What do you mean, he passed?" Her father stood up slowly, helping her stand too. His voice was calm now, but full of respect for a man he once insulted. "He did what no rich man would ever do for you. He walked away from everything he wanted to protect you. That is love I cannot buy, cannot teach, cannot force." Isla's tears changed. They were still falling, but now they tasted like truth. She whispered, "So why did you let him go?" Her father looked at the shutter of the garage, closed halfway, like a mouth that wanted to speak but couldn't. He placed his hand on the metal. "Because love must return by choice, not by pressure. If I forced you together, it would be respect for me. But if you both choose each other again, it will be respect for love." Alia stared at him, breathing fast, and for the first time she saw her father not as a CEO, not as a man of power, but as a father who understood sacrifice better than society. She whispered, voice stronger now, "I'm going to bring him back." Her father gave a small nod, a sign of trust more powerful than any blessing. But not in silence. Truth must speak loud today. Before lies eat his life. He walked out into the sunlight, Isla behind him, Sanaa following with wide, hopeful eyes. Outside the garage, the HOA board members were gathering residents, faces full of pride mixed with fear. Cameras recorded, microphones waited, like vultures ready to eat a truth they did not create. The HOA president stepped forward, voice polished but cold. Residents, today we protect the dignity of this community. A mechanic tried to use our CEO's daughter for attention. But this matter is now under control. A voice cut through his speech like a blade. Stop lying. Everyone turned. The CEO walked forward with Isla beside him. His face was calm like a storm that already decided its direction. The crowd stepped back slightly, unsure how to react. The president looked like someone who just saw his plan ripped apart without touching it. The CEO spoke clearly, every word like a hammer breaking walls. If there is any dignity to protect today, it is not yours. It is his. A gasp moved through the crowd. Phones lifted higher. The president tried to speak again, but the CEO raised a hand and silence covered the entire street like heavy cloth. Yesterday, 3 boys used my daughter to humiliate an innocent man. They recorded a cruel prank. They turned dignity into a joke. They tried to destroy a life that has been built with honest hands. He pointed toward the cafe direction. The mechanic did not target my daughter. The rich boys targeted him. Murmurs spread like a wave crashing into itself. The CEO continued, voice full of weight. I watched every second. The only person who showed dignity was the man you tried to shame. People were frozen. The truth stood tall in daylight. He then pointed to the board members. You shut down his garage? For what? For being honest? For raising his sister alone? For having hands that work instead of hands that only count money? The board members looked pale, exposed in their own courtroom. The CEO's voice turned sharp. You speak about community image. A community that breaks a poor man because he sat beside a rich woman has no image. Only arrogance. Isla stepped forward now, her voice steady but emotional. I like him. Not because he is poor, but because he is brave. Because he doesn't need a last name to have a heart. Because he taught me more in 1 hour than society taught me in 20 years. Tears filled her eyes, but her voice kept walking forward. Breaking his shop will not break his truth. It will only break your humanity. Her words hit everyone. Some lowered their eyes like shame touched them. The CEO walked to the side, revealing Sanaa. The little girl stepped forward with her school bag, holding a small drawing. A car and 2 hands fixing it. She spoke with soft voice. My brother is a hero. He fixed my life. He fixes cars because he likes helping people. Please don't take his shop. It's our home. The crowd wasn't ready for a child's truth. Silence became heavy. Even hearts that once hated softened for a second. The CEO raised his hand again. This shop will remain open, and if anyone tries to shut it down, they will answer to me. I am not protecting a mechanic. I am protecting dignity. Something this community forgot. The HOA president looked crushed. He knew the war was lost. He signaled the guards to step back. People whispered among themselves, and this time the whispers were different. Maybe we were wrong. He didn't do anything bad. She really loves him. Alia scanned the crowd, her eyes searching like she was looking for a piece of her heart that walked away. But Raza was not there. He was far blinded by his own sacrifice. She turned to her father with panic. Where is he? Her father looked at her gently. You will find him. If your love is real. She ran. Without shoes slipping, without fear, just running through the gate, across the road, through people, following a direction her heart pulled like a compass made from pain and hope. She reached the bus stop. Empty. She stopped breathing for a second, eyes searching every face. Nothing. She turned around, and there, sitting on a bench under a tree, was Raza. Head down, hands together, like someone praying without sound, like someone trying to kill his own heart to save someone else. She walked slow, each step shaking, tears coming before words. She stopped in front of him. Raza lifted his head slowly, like he was afraid of hope. Their eyes met. Two oceans full of storm and love collided. No words. Breath only. Pain only. Love only. Isla fell into his arms, crying with relief like her chest had been waiting to breathe. Raza held her tightly, his own tears falling on her shoulder like rain that waited too long. She whispered near his ear, "You don't leave me to save me. You stay to save us." Raza closed his eyes, his arms wrapping around her like he was holding life itself. He whispered back, shaking, "I thought walking away was love, but love is walking together, even when the world hates your steps." Their foreheads touched, their breaths mixed. The world around them disappeared into silent pictures. Isla pulled back slightly, hands on his face, her voice tired but strong. "My father told the truth, and now the world knows. Your shop is safe. Your name is safe. But I am only safe with you." Raza held her hands against his cheeks, his voice breaking. "I don't know how to live in your world," she answered softly. "Then build a new world with me. A world where rich and poor don't exist. Only hearts do." He smiled through tears, small but real. And that smile was a lifetime. The street around them became quiet like respect arrived late but still came. People watched, not with hate now but with realization. No one clapped. No one cheered. They just watched something rare. A moment where dignity won without violence, where love won without money, where truth stood without fear. Alia took his hand, linking fingers like two separate roads entering one path. She whispered, "Come home. Not my house. Our home." Raza looked at Sanaa, who stood watching with bright eyes full of hope. He nodded slowly. Together, they walked back. Not hiding, not afraid. Two lives made from different worlds now walking as one, and behind them the wind carried one truth to every window, every door, every heart that watched too long without understanding.